You're a busy professional. You don't have time for fluff. You need strategies that work, and you need them fast. Welcome to Busy Pro Fast Wellness with me, your host, Alan Welsh. We're here to give you science-backed hacks and actionable tips to boost your focus, minimize friction, and maximize your results. Less time, more impact. It's time to get well, stay strong, and thrive. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Busy Pro Fast Wellness. My guest today is Jo Rodonis, a strength coach extraordinaire, athlete and host of the podcast Athlete's Pursuit. But what makes him stand out isn't just his training expertise. After years of pushing himself physically, Jo realised that true performance also meant training his mind. So, drawing inspiration from Stoic philosophy and his own struggles with stress, he's built a platform that helps people cultivate resilience, discipline, and purpose. And I'm talking on and off the gym floor. So today, I'd really like to hone in on how Jo bridges that gap between physical and mental strength and the simple, practical habits he uses to help others do the same thing. Welcome, Jo. Such a privilege to have you on the show.
Alan, I appreciate it, man. It's an honor to be here. I'm very excited for our conversation, bud.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking forward to it for weeks off and on since I've been listening to many of your podcasts, particularly in the last couple of days. I like to be as prepared as possible, and your candor, integrity comes shining through on those podcasts. So, I really recommend your podcast, Athlete's Pursuit. Fantastic. So let's just dive straight in. One of the things that I'm fascinated about, because it's a recurring theme that comes up as well on the my podcast, is sort of training the mind like the body, because that's something I know that you're very much into. So
yeah.
You've talked about mental health. That isn't something to fix, but something to train. So What does training your mind actually look like for you, especially on those tougher days?
Yeah. So I love that question. Obviously love the topic. It's a big one, man. I think they're very interconnected and intertwined, and I don't think you can have one without the other. And, I recently talked about that as this viewpoint. I think especially in our culture, we talk about mental health kind of with this, it kind of has this negative stigmatism where we talk about like we're broken or like something needs to be fixed. That's what it has always felt like to me. Because when I was young, I was trying to figure this out. I was just trying to really just become a better person. I was just trying to become calmer, a little bit more focused, a little bit more stepping into like a leadership type role as I was growing up. And when you're dissecting things that are going on in your head when you're young, didn't have a lot of resources. So it did feel like something is kind of wrong with you. But as I've dove into this world, it's not about something is wrong. It's about creating an awareness around yourself. It's about uncovering things to learn about who you are and what your connection is to the world and how you can step deeper into yourself. So a simple example in that when we talk about training is, when you think about physical training, you would say, an example, if you were 4 days a week training at a high level for 5 years, but then all of a sudden for the next year you just stopped, what would happen to your body? What would happen to those strides that you made in performance, the muscle you gained? They would start to diminish, right? If you did absolutely nothing from that point on. You could have built up a great foundation, but it could have been just stripped away after that year if you don't continue the refinement process. And we got to think about mental training the exact same way, right? So
Absolutely.
You go to therapy for 10 sessions for a year. That could be a great year, but it doesn't mean that we're done. It doesn't mean that we hit a point where it's just over and we're just feeling great mentally. I mean, it's truly a refinement process through the years.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've something that I've gleaned over the last few years myself is really how important it is to have that clarity of mind. And, I've spoken to so many people about, because I've had issues in the past in various ways, and like many of us have. So how you actually approach that and the importance of training their mind and what techniques that you can put into place. So what you've just said is obviously very powerful. I mean, is there a very simple mental rep that our listeners could try today? Something that you would do, something that's small that could build that mental consistency. Is there anything, one tiny little thing?
Yeah, I mean, one of the tiniest things that I correlate is really with my training. I mean, that's when I'm kind of tying like my mentality to things. So I think that there's when you're in your lifting sessions or whatever your session is, one of the best things you can do is create presence of mind, being in the moment. Because when we talk about anxiety and just how do I calm myself down or calm down the noise, that's usually the biggest fix of, can I pay attention to my breath? Can I pay attention to the task at hand? That's one of the most simple things that you can do, because we're going to have outside factors, work and stress pulling us every single day.
Absolutely.
And so that one activity that you're doing is really just coming down to how present can I be in this task?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there makes me think of that Tolle. There's a famous author that talks a lot about this, being in that moment as you're doing anything at all, and it's something that I've thought about quite a lot, because I do every day a morning routine, and it makes a massive difference if you're not, really concentrating, focusing on everything, focusing on the weight of your feet, what you're doing, and as you're doing in my case, it's more cardio. There is a little bit of strength work in there, or body strength for sure, body weight strength. And if I'm listening to something, I'm not really in the moment because I'm distracted by the other thing. The only thing that I will say is that music, sometimes it can energize you if you're doing something which is particularly physical.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not so useful for strength training. So, I don't know how that would work. And it's something I'd like to talk about a little bit later on about the sort of cardio versus strength, because it's fascinating for me. I know that we both come from very different worlds in that sense, but it's always great to tally those worlds up and see if there's some sort of common ground in those worlds.
Oh, there absolutely is, for sure. Yeah,
I think so. Great stuff. Thanks, brilliant. Stoicism. That's one of the things that you are reputed for, because you've talked a lot about that, and it's something which I feel that many people don't necessarily think about a lot. But you've drawn inspiration from Stoic philosophy, and that's obvious.
Yeah.
How has that sort of Stoicism changed your approach to setbacks? And what's one principle that helps when life feels overwhelming?
Yeah, that's a really good one, man. I found Stoicism, and it was the Emperor's Handbook, I think, is with Marcus Aurelius. I truly think is someone, a book that everybody should read. I saw it as a way to give yourself an objective framework and like a way to filter through your emotions. Because I'm highly emotional. Like I go through life as like feeling, like it's a feeling process to me. So, and my brother's kind of the opposite. He's a little bit more analytical in nature, right? So like we all have like, what's your tendency? And so being very, very emotional for me, it was, how can I then filter that emotion and understand it and detach my identity from it so that I can not make emotional decisions, right? I didn't want to make impulsive emotional decisions. And then when things happen to you in life, how can you start to reframe it so that you can create an empowered stance? One of the most powerful examples in my life was, in 2016, like my father passed away, and that was obviously an emotional time. And that was where we kind of turned to Stoic philosophy, if you will, my brother and I, saying like, let's turn this into something positive, right? So it's something that you can cultivate to have it be a response versus having something happen to me, right, and fall backwards. So I just think it gives you something to lean on. It's like a moral compass. And from, being a man, like how can I use that to be a calmer, more decisive, more empowering leader, whether in your family or your community. I think that's what it's all about.
No, that's fantastic. That's really powerful what you just said there. I love this idea of the head versus the gut instinct as well, because I'm probably somebody who goes on gut instinct a lot, and that goes with my in terms of my relationships with people. You get a feeling about who's decent, and maybe that person there, might not be as trustworthy. I'm not just talking about people, but situations as well, what you might do on a day-to-day basis. And, you obviously say with your brother, you've probably got that more impulsive gut, and your brother not so much. And how do you rein that in? Sometimes you can be sort of ruled by an emotion. And so being aware of that. And that really does come through with a lot of what you're talking about, self-reflection, self-assessment, and that all plays into that bigger picture. So no, that's I really appreciate what you're referring to on that one, and when you catch yourself slipping into like any kind of frustration, because obviously it's good to keep on an even keel, how you respond to certain issues which might be really challenging. And do you have a quick way of dealing with, or is there a quick reset, maybe a phrase or a routine or something you use to get back to that stoic, grounded mindset? Do you have anything on that?
That's really, for me, at this point, it's very simple to me, where like, I'll do a mixture of things because it really depends on the situation, but it really does come down to presence. So like I do have a meditation routine that isn't really when people say meditation, I think you think that you're just like sitting and kind of like just closing your eyes and doing this stuff, which obviously, right, Alan, right? Yeah, we do that.
I know, that's a misconception, isn't it? That's one that I say, oh no, I'm in the wellness and health. Oh no, you're going to be meditating. No, it's not like that.
Yeah, it's kind of more about like removing stimulus. I'm just trying to like monitor my breathing, because like we know that as you're creating stress, like you breathe differently and it's going to like impact the situation further, and you can just like fall deeper and deeper into a loop. So like I'm just trying to calm my breath down and get anchored into the present moment. So like I just try to find where my feet are and get into an activity. So that's again why the gym is so important to me, because if I'm feeling that moment of like a lot of energy, I've also gotten to a spot of understanding, well, maybe I can use this energy. So, if I'm not able to like really calm myself down, then maybe I need to exert myself physically. And so why not put it into something that's productive? And that's what led me ultimately to training, was like, let's channel the energy and use it into something that's going to ultimately be positive.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, what you just said is just rung bells of what's happened to me. I've had a hectic few weeks of just back and forth of traveling. It's been really manic. And even though I've pretty much, I'm living a much more wholesome existence, and I'm tracking everything, on a day-to-day basis, I sort of slipped off because and I was like, this intensity of, trying to keep on an even keel the last couple of days, suddenly I have channeled that into physicality as well. When I've had that, it's like, right, I'm really going to do a good 20-minute workout now. High intensity. And, because I just have to. The frustration has really came to a head, and it does work. It really does, So,
I mean, do you not sometimes just get some of your best ideas like on a run?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or on a cycle ride, on a run. I do. Suddenly I'll be there with my phone. And I was like, got it. I've got that's a brilliant content, that one. And I record it instantly on a voice note. So these things.
Yeah, man. It's where I get like my best ideas. And I heard this, Alan Watts is another philosopher that I'm sure you've heard of. I love, right? He was very much ahead of his time. And that was one of the things I remember reading. He was like, when you're stuck on a problem and you just keep looking at the problem and you just keep focusing harder and harder and harder, but like the idea is not coming to you. So you think, let me just focus on it even harder. You think you're going to get this, you're going to force this idea out. But he's like, when you get to this spot, you just got to stop and you got to walk away from it. And that's where he says, like, go for that walk, go for that run. And as your brain is processing, like it's aware of the problem, just let it sit for a second. Go for that run, do something productive, move your body. And usually that idea or like that direction that you're looking for, it finds its way to you. There's kind of a letting go process that happens.
And it's interesting in that moment when you do have that sort of barrier and you have that kind of frustration and you can't get the resolution to what you're looking for. I was doing something yesterday on the computer and it just wasn't. And once I got up and did that, but it takes a lot of motivation to actually tear yourself away. And that's one of the critical points for me, is actually having that ability. Right, I really have to do that. And when you do it, wow, it is powerful, and it does make that massive difference. So yeah, totally with you on that. And it's something which, we have to keep on reminding ourselves of, as
Yeah.
well as, when you're preaching to other people, well, not preaching, because I don't like that word, but when you're
Me neither,
morally,
honestly.
so sorry about that. No, not because I'm not, not because of religious connotation, but just because of the idea that you're sort of forcibly, telling people what to do, and that's that sort of sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. More like suggestions. Cause like, I do believe I'm with you on that, man. Cause like that's the thing with my podcast. I never wanted to like just force down ideas or be like, this is the ultimate way. It's more, I think there's like an understanding of principles and then the art of it. Cause you got to make this stuff fit your life too.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to all this, man, and I'm sure we'll get to this, as you develop awareness around this stuff, with the example that we just talked about, you start to understand how you respond to situations.
Yeah.
Like what makes you frustrated, what kind of triggers you or like gets you to a heightened state, and how you can use that energy in a productive way and get yourself back to calm. So I think as you refine that process, you can start to build structure around it to kind of get ahead of it, or not get to a spot where I'm like mentally frustrated. It's like, can you build systems around it to curb that so that we're, in that balanced place before even getting to that spot?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, from what you've just said, and also from obviously, looking into your previous experiences, you are very far down that road because you've been doing this for many, many years. So you've had that ability to refine the way that you do things, your own systems. And as you carry on, despite the fact that it's a bit like, I don't know, this is just a random idea. It's a bit like share prices. They will go up, but you're going to be like this. You're going to be going up and then slightly down, up slightly, but you're always going to be getting better. And if you've been on that journey for 20 years, then obviously, you've gone much further in that journey. But it doesn't really matter, if you've only been doing the journey for 1 month, you are on that trajectory when you're going to make those improvements. And and so fantastic, great, really enjoying that insight there, brilliant. And what about the other thing that I'd like to look at is this concept of building sustainable resilience, because as I've just kind of alluded to, we have these peaks and we have these little troughs. Hopefully the peaks will take us up. The troughs aren't so many, but when they happen. So when busy professionals often chase those fast results, well, we know that they do because they just want to get things fast.
Sure.
This can actually result in burnout. So is there a habit that you consider essential for sustainable growth and resilience?
There's a lot there, man. I think the truth is that nothing beats consistency. So as boring and as simple as that answer is, it's what it is, man.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
There's just no other way around it. I've been like, that's the most common question that you get as a coach and in training is like, how do you build consistent habits? Well, I think first you got to ask yourself, and this is the truth, because I could give you an answer of like, well, you got to follow this type of plan and you got to follow this type of routine and this is going to get you. But the truth of the matter is you got to give a damn. Yeah. You got to really want this and like understand what you're working towards. And I kind of come from it from a coach of be honest about the activity that you love to do and that you want to develop. You don't have to do strength training. You don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be a cyclist. But you got to move your body. You got to find some activity that really lights you up. And so I think the first thing we got to do is get really honest about what you like to do and just have fun with it early. And then start to ask yourself, how can I develop this? And why do I want to develop it? I think I've always tied strength training and what I'm doing physically into how I'm growing as a man and how I'm showing up in the world. I have tied the two together. So there's a sense of identity that I tie to my training. So that is why no matter what life throws at me, I am never dropping this routine. It's locked for me. Like in my head, I have a set number of days. The world could be falling apart. I'm not dropping this routine because I see it as essential for how I show up and how I conduct myself in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a big piece of it is, can you tie something larger that means something to you
Yeah.
personally
I mean
to
that,
keep
that
you
that
in
that
this?
one routine that you refer to, obviously that's something that's going to anchor you, isn't it, on a day-to-day basis. That's going to keep you grounded because you know that that's if you just achieve that, which you will, because
Yep.
so you that's always brilliant. So you're always going to be moving forward, progressing because of that one anchoring routine. So that's a good example to give. So people should be well. Here we are preaching again. Sorry about that, Alan. You know, sorry. So the idea is that us mere mortals should be trying to. What is our one routine? You know, what is our? You know, it could be one or two things. I mean, I'm a trumpet player, so I always practice every day. In fact, just before we spoke, Joe,
I love
I
that.
thought I haven't. I've been out all day. I got back and thought, right, I'll just get the notes up here and know what I'm doing. The last sort of 15 minutes, I got my trumpet out and had to play. I thought I've got to play today. I haven't played, and I always will play. That's it, And
Love that.
obviously, there's my morning routine is that sacrosanct, and that happens every single day regardless, plus other things that I will, exercise. I did cycle, 60K today, so that was something. I came back from somewhere, so I thought, well,
Just pretty
I'm
good,
not going
man.
to train. I'll just cycle. So it's fine. Yeah. But yeah, actually, because we off air before we were talking a little bit just prior to this about strength training, versus cardio. So
Yeah.
it's something I wouldn't mind discussing a little bit. I know it's totally off piste, but as I mentioned to you, I've only really understood the concept of strength training in the last year, and I'm
Mm.
using bands, and I've just invested in some kettlebells recently. Um, what is your sort of take on that that comparison between the cardio and the strength? Do you have any insights in that? Because obviously you're very focused on strength, aren't you? But what about the cardio
Yeah.
side?
Yeah. I mean, I have a love for both, man. I've done, in my 20s, I was a cyclist too. Used to
Oh,
ride, and yeah, man,
I
used to,
heard I heard you on the podcast. I did listen to that. Yeah,
did you? Yeah,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You talked about this. Yeah,
Yeah. It's a great sport. I still
it
got the
is.
bike. We
It
take
is.
it out
Yeah,
once in a while.
yeah,
It's fun.
yeah. No, it's
Um,
great.
and my wife and I run all the time. We do a lot of sprints. Like the conditioning and cardio is like a massive part of just, feeling your best first and foremost. But, I work with a lot of people too that have competed in Ironmans and lean in and prioritize kind of more their running performance
Yeah.
over strength training. So the question is, or like the way to look at it is that they go hand in hand. They tie together. So it's never a question of which is better.
Okay.
It's what your priorities are. And
Yeah.
then understanding like how can one help the other. So if you're primarily a runner or a cyclist and that is your primary activity, meaning this is what I want to develop the best, like I want to improve my performance within this area,
Yeah.
then that's your priority.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
my schedule during the week is going to prioritize my runs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're going to structure your runs with different intensity levels so that you can ultimately improve your goal, whether that's getting faster, having more endurance, a little bit of both, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
If you only do that for months on end, you will see progress, but eventually you will hit a place of what's called diminishing returns,
Okay.
where you're just doing the same thing kind of over and over again, and you need an outside stimulus to improve. And that's where strength training comes in. And from a running perspective, you just do like these full body sessions. They can even be 2 lifts a week, man. If you're
Yeah.
running in season, it doesn't take a lot. You can stay in the strength training range of like 6 to 8 reps. So they're very efficient
Yeah.
workouts, but they give you a little bit more pop in your run, a little bit more speed in your run.
Yeah.
It helps with like injury prevention, so you feel like you're able to absorb force even better. And then when you're off season, you can kind of flip the priority. You can be like, all right, my races aren't coming up for like several months.
Yeah.
So just the same way a professional athlete, like a rugby player, a football player, they have their off season, and it's like that's when they do heavy strength training and they'll scale back kind of their skill activity. So that's a good way to look at it too, is like, how can you structure your year where you're like, my priorities kind of shift,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you can only do so much at once. You got to kind
Exactly.
of know what your priority is at the time.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, if you were a complete novice at this strength training, for example, what would you
Yeah.
suggest somebody who maybe doesn't have necessarily an access to a gym? What would be the basic equipment at the very minimal level that they should probably try to acquire in their own homes
It's a really good
without
question,
taking it?
man.
Yeah.
Well, in America, we got Tonal. So that's where I
Yeah, you
coach,
must
right?
tell us a bit about Tonal as well.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's really like one of the best solutions available, because you get an entire home gym where you have coaching and programming. So it takes out the guesswork of what you're doing, even like the weights and safety features for form. So it's a beautiful place to start and to build, because intimidation is also a real thing, right? Going into the gym, if you've never lifted, it's an
Yeah.
intimidating place. Lack of time is a real issue.
Yeah.
Not knowing proper form or the right sequencing, these are real
Yeah.
problems. And so
Yeah, of
you
course.
need the right guidance.
You do,
Uh,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know,
I mean, if you, for example, went into a gym, I don't, by the way, I don't live in the UK. I live in Spain. Just because you
oh,
mentioned
I
the
thought you
UK.
lived in the UK.
No, no, I live in Spain. But if you go to a gym, for example, here in Spain, and the only time I ever use the gym is, for example, if it rains, which
Yeah.
it very rarely does, although it has been recently. But I've been ducking and diving and avoiding the rain wherever possible. But those times when I have gone into the gym, you do get these like these beefy guys, muscular blokes getting up there, and you're sort of
Yeah,
thinking,
man.
I have got no idea of what. I'll use the cardio machines, and then I'll go on to the machines which are the mechanical ones, but I won't go near the actual weights, the
Yeah,
lifting,
yeah, yeah.
sort of stuff like that, because I
Mhm.
just wouldn't know what I was doing, and I probably would need some sort of guidance there in that
Yeah.
situation. So what you're saying is this tonal, is this, could you sort of mention it a little bit more? Because I mean, is that an AI apparatus? What is that exactly, the tonal?
It uses AI, but it's essentially hardware that goes up onto your wall, mounts onto your wall, and it has
Okay.
two adjustable arms, so you can move them based on the movement that you're doing. So you can use it as a squat rack where you're doing squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead presses with a barbell,
Yeah,
and then you can easily take the attachment off, put on handles, and then you have all of a sudden like a dumbbell rack. So you're able to do bicep curls, rows, RDLs, anything that you can imagine, Bulgarian split squats, but then also you move the arms and it becomes like a cable machine, right? So
okay.
you're doing rotational chop. The versatility of it is pretty incredible.
Wow.
And it's great for Gen Pop, man, because like with strength training, you're just trying to create access. You're
Yeah.
trying to create an easier access point for people to
Yeah.
strength train, so that you can remove the intimidation and the fear of lifting. Because like there's benefit to it no matter what your activity is that you love to do. Even if it's, I just want to age gracefully, even if it's as simple as that. We know that strength training is the way to get that done. And but then this allows you to customize it to meet exactly and tailor to your needs and to your life, including the weights.
Yeah,
Right. You don't
brilliant.
even have to think about that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'll drop all the stuff in the show notes later on. But if you can maybe give me or throw me over some sort of link to this particular device, that would be great. So that we
Of course.
can actually, I'd really appreciate that, because I'm
Of course.
obviously intrigued to learn as much as possible about these different things. Me with my my simple kettlebells and my bands, which are not bad. They work.
Dude, you can
I've
get a
got-
lot done with that, man.
You
yeah,
really can, yeah.
you can.
It seems to work. I got 4 different colours. They got different weights.
No, you can do some damage, dude. You really can. You can throw down with that.
I'm starting to notice a sort of very faint muscle in my arms.
Yo, fake muscle. That's real stuff, dude. Yo, get ready, man. Those shirts are going to fit a little bit tighter, Alan. You keep this going, man.
Anyway, great. Good. So another thing that I'd like to talk about is, the idea of growth as well. So, everyone, everyone in their life at some point has a turning point, whatever it be. And you refer to, obviously, it could be a death in the family. It's going to impact you psychologically. Can you share a moment for you that shifted your mindset or your training approach, and how that change has shaped your path ever since? So is anything, what, I mean, you mentioned obviously your passing of your father. I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that, in 2016. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Was there any other sort of incident that kind of had a massive impact on you?
I was thinking about this, man. Because there's always going to be some major things. So there were really like three, I would say, big moments, and the first one was 2016 with my father passing.
Yeah,
I was working a corporate job at the time, so I had a totally different like life. I was approaching a totally different way of living, and I was in nuclear medicine sales and working for a very Fortune 20 company. Had a good career there. I was doing well. Everything
yeah,
was
yeah,
like fine. I just did not feel fulfilled. I
yeah,
honestly felt like a shell of myself. And
yeah,
I remember having that conversation with my brother before my father passed, that I was like, for some reason, I just feel like a fraud. I don't feel like I'm really contributing. I don't feel like I'm being tested to my ability. I just don't feel
mm,
like I'm stepping into myself. And it feels really, it felt really frustrating. It feels really depressing in a way.
yeah,
So when my father passed, it just kind of created this sense of this glimpse of understanding that this is a very fragile experience, that
yeah,
this is all going to end for every single one of us. And I saw his life and what he did and the good things that he did and the things that really matter, like family and following kind of your passions. And I just hit this moment of like, why wouldn't I take the chance on myself? Like, if I'm going
yeah,
to end here anyways, why would I not go all in and
mm,
see what I'm made of? Like, just see what can happen. Like, I can always fall back on a secure job. Why not
yeah,
fall into the things I love and see where life takes me? And ultimately, I got an opportunity to go to Cape Town, South Africa. So I quit that job and I went to South Africa for a modeling job. And
yeah,
that was the catalyst to everything that I am doing now. I could honestly tell you that if that
fantastic.
did not happen,
Yeah,
I would not be here doing what I'm doing with Tonal and as a strength coach today.
yeah, brilliant. It's such a great story because obviously I have listened to your podcast, so I'm aware of those, and it's something which you mentioned as well about the idea that you would never want to be, when you're sort of nearing that moment when you know that the finitude of life is just about to happen. It's
Yeah.
like the regrets that you might have of not taking those chances, of just living that kind of staid life where you could have just gone through the motions and day to day, living in a rut. I don't want to sort of sound disparaging about any people that are living in that sort of way, but if you had that opportunity, which you obviously had, and you've taken that opportunity, it's led to all these other things. So it's great sometimes to make that jump, that leap of
Yeah.
faith, and and if it doesn't work, at least you've tried, because you would never know unless you do it in the first place. So you have
Yeah.
to, because I mean we've got such a short period of time on this earth. So
Yeah.
why not? Why not do
Yeah.
that? For
Dude,
sure.
these challenges, they develop us, man.
Yeah,
Like, ultimately, it doesn't have to be so drastic as like, I know it's a common story of like, oh, I quit my job, I moved here, I started all over.
yeah,
I went about it really methodically too, man, if I'm being honest. I had savings. I wasn't just like quitting and being like, I'm out on my own. Like, I had thought about a plan and, I had kind of a direction that I was going for, but it was, it's just about finding alignment. I think that's all
yeah,
that we're trying to do. So it could be in a career that you currently have. You mentioned playing trumpet, right?
yeah,
It's like you could, I got some great friends that have, quote unquote, like these corporate jobs, and they find a lot of their fulfillment and kind of their development, their way of self-expression through the outside activities away from their work.
yeah.
Right? There's a lot of ways to attack this. I just think that if you don't allow yourself to find that way of self-expression, whatever
Mm,
that is for you,
yeah.
I think a part of you just kind of gets hidden away. And I
Mm,
think we're at our best when we allow that to like amplify,
yeah.
right? And just kind of follow that as best as you can.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And for me, just on a sort of personal note, sort of bringing it round to echo what you're saying, I would say that over the last year or more than a year since I've been sort of doing these podcasts on a week to week basis, I've gleaned so much for myself on a personal level. Because like yourself, I am a man of service. I really want to give back as much as possible to other people who would, be interested in listening and understanding and maybe improving their lives on a physical and a mental level. So, and I've also tallied that up with my own self-reflection and my own improvement. So you're going to have that it's a compounding effect as time goes on, with those many, we've got to have self-compassion. We're going to have those little troughs from time to time without any doubts, and so that will happen. But it's so important to have that. So I really
I'm so glad, Alan. I'm so glad you mentioned self-compassion, because it's something that I've been has been coming up a lot lately. And there's a principle in Zen that talks about, if you fall off the path, simply return without judgment, but with curiosity. That's self-compassion. And that's a massive shift, because so many of us, as a training plan as an example, because you talked about like burnout, they treat it as like a chore, and they say, I got to be on this plan 4 days a week, follow these macros with my nutrition. And you do it for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're tight. And then the second you have a day or a week where things go wrong and you kind of slip, most people beat themselves up. And they go, I failed. I messed up. But the real approach is to just get back on the next week and to analyze your behaviors and just have some curiosity about it. And you just make simple adjustments. That's all that you do. You just get back on. You don't beat yourself up, but at the same time, you meet yourself with some honesty. To just say, I'm going to make some adjustments so that I can continue to stay on this path. And if I mess up again, which I will, I'm going to get back and gently return. It's part of the entire process. But the thing is, you just don't stop the pursuit. That's it. We're going to fall off, you get on. You fall off, you get on, and you just get tighter and tighter and tighter. Making a system that really works for yourself.
Brilliant. Fantastic. And it's one of the questions I've asked as well, a couple of other people, or maybe one other person from another podcast. We were talking about, this very concept that you've just referred to. Do you actually have a way of tracking anything? Do you keep, in the wellness health world, they talk about journaling, but I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about tracking different areas of your life and then, making results of that so that you can see, because I've done it a lot recently, and I did miss those sort of 4 or 5 days. I started to feel a sense of almost minor depression, and then I returned to it in the last couple of days. I thought, that's the reason why, because as we both know, and many other people do, it is that self-experimentation. It's that constant curiosity to see what it is that changes that, whether it's physically or more often than not mentally, when you fall off the wagon. So, do you have any sort of way of tracking how you're doing in different areas of your life?
Absolutely. Kind of across the board, honestly. I started doing this when I was probably in my 20s, when I was in my sales days, honestly. Really? Me and my brother talked a lot about this, because when we were just out of college, we would say, like, why is it that I have like these days where I'm really high energy and just feel like I can do all things, and then other days I just hit these lows? Like, what is this? Like, how can I even this out? Like, what is going on? And so I started tracking all of it. That's why I started to track food. I started counting macros, not just for aesthetic or performance. It was like literally for energy. It was like for cognitive function. I wanted to create balance in the system.
Right.
And great athletes track. So if you're not using a macro counter or something like that, just reframe how you're using it. Doesn't mean that I'm being restrictive with food. I'm trying to understand patterns. Like, that's really what that's about, right? With training, I use an app to where I write my own programs, and I'll track what I'm doing with weights so that I can stay consistent and also hit like certain, progressive overload and things. And I'll tweak that. I'll tweak that all the time. I'll stay within kind of a phase of programming and then move things about. And the calendar is heavily relied on. I'm always looking at, what time I'm getting up, what I'm doing in the morning, how I'm starting my day with stimulus, right? Am I doing something that ease me into the day to set up my head in a good frame of mind, or am I?
Of course.
Am I not?
No, that's great. That's great. Obviously you've referred to, those elements of the nutrition and the exercise. And do you track the sleep? Is that one of the things you'll track?
I have tracked sleep,
Yeah.
not so much currently. I'm aware,
Yeah.
but I don't purposely track sleep currently.
No. I mean, nor do I. In fact, I did I go for a phase of it. I do have, but I track it on a piece of on a paper. It's
Oh, you
it's
do it
like,
yourself? You're like tracking manually?
I do actually do it manually.
Look
like
at
this.
you, dude. Oh my gosh, dude, you're in, Alan. I like it, man.
That's the new one. That's the. I mean, no one can see it, but here, I miss those days you see here, and so yeah. I mean,
Dude,
I don't mind. I mean, these are. I've got alcohol, food, meat, morning, exercise.
Yes, dude.
It's like social, piano, trumpet, composition, physical, mental, wife. And the last one,
Wife.
hydration. Yeah, well, no, that always gets a pretty good score, but it did diminish the last couple of days when I was feeling a bit off. So that's always up at an 8 or a 9.5 around there. Out of 10. So yeah, no, it's all there. It's all tracked, and it's interesting how much it really makes a difference. And I'm a man who's never tracked anything in my life. I hate data. I've never done any of that stuff.
Really?
No. I thought that was for geeks. Only for geeks, I've got a very
dude,
good
we're
friend who does it
all a
all
little
the
bit of
time.
nerd in us, Alan.
No. I'm
So
not
what
going
made you
into
turn? What made you turn the corner then?
I think it was talking to sort of a few people about and listening to sort of very, very many podcasts, and I chatted with a very good podcaster, Dr. Andrew Fix, of The Code, and he was talking about how important it was to him, and I asked him what he would use, and I said, is it possible to use paper? And he said, well, this is what I would do. And then I just stumbled across some really good, these sort of things with tiny little boxes that I got from my brother-in-law's laboratory. He used to be a pharmacist, and so I thought, well, I'll just take a bunch of those, which I did because he's recently retired, and I thought that's perfect. I started tracking all this stuff and adding things to it. So I was a flexitarian before, and having spoken to some carnivore guys recently, on one of the podcasts, they made me realize how important protein is.
Sure.
And I had, obviously I was aware of that, but I didn't realize that maybe. So I've increased my intake. I eat many more eggs, and I eat meat now much more regularly. I'm in flexitarian. I would probably eat meat once every couple of weeks before, but now it's like a few times a week. So I just put a sort of a yes or a no in there for that particular one. Sorry, all my vegetarian and vegan friends about that. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm eating more meat. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Dude, I actually was vegan myself for like 2 years.
Yeah,
at one point in my life.
Yeah, no, it's easy to do. I mean, I've got lots of friends who are, and they're fine. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, all of it can work. It's just about like developing again a system, man. Like you're just trying to hit the right macronutrients. So like you whether you're vegan, you're plant-based, you're flexitarian, vegetarian, carnivore, like honestly, I've seen it all work. It's just a matter of finding the right balance for yourself, dude.
Yeah. And some people it will work better than others. I mean, there's one person I spoke to a while ago, and for him it was a plant-based diet just didn't work. He really didn't, and he went full extreme to the real carnivore extreme, and that really works well for him. But it wouldn't work for me, I don't think. I do want to eat, vegetables, fruit, and carbs. I do need an intake of carbs. I mean, I just sort of, my body is that way, geared more than his would be, for example. So we're all different. We've got to sort of, as I say, we've got to experiment with what would work for us.
Yeah, that's why this tracking is so important, honestly, man. Like that's what I saw it as. Like it's basically a science experiment that you're developing around yourself, and like data is awareness. That's all that this is. It's objective information. Like you're removing the emotion of how you feel about a certain thing, and you're just seeing how you respond to the thing, not in just a day-to-day basis, but like through months, like so you can see trends. Right. That's what you're trying to get to, man. It's just like a trend to get to a spot of consistency, and then you can build those guardrails or systems that really kind of optimize things for you.
Absolutely.
But that is Yeah, that's why like in this industry, man, everybody's looking for these answers and they always want like the clear cut thing. And that's why going back to your point of like, well, it's very common to see like a packaged offering of like, here's a 30-day challenge or program, and this is the solution.
Yeah.
And it's marketed as that, but it's not really the solution. You got to think more of that as that is a way for me to experiment in a very controlled environment, right? Because I got my program very controlled. I know what I'm doing. I got my food very controlled. I know what I'm doing. And then when you're done with that, you should be looking at it to say, what did I like? What did I not like? What do I want to keep and develop into my routine?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's really the game.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Absolutely. And there's something I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned it earlier on, and you said that you have one sort of staple routine that you will do every day. Would you mind divulging what that would be? Which is out of curiosity.
What was the routine? Are we talking about lifting?
Yeah,
or is this like the mental routine?
I mean, you mentioned earlier on that it's something that you would do every day. On those sort of every single day. That is your one go-to. And but you didn't say what it was. I was just curious.
Well, for me, it is lifting, man. I mean, like this is my anchor. Like for me, I get everything that I kind of need and like can process through with weightlifting. It's always been that way for me. Like I've kind of refined my training into that. And I feel I don't feel myself or my best if I'm not getting what I need physically from a routine. So it doesn't have to be every day. Like I really live and lifting like 4 days a week, but I have some type of like physical activity each day. And
is that sort of set in stone, or are you kind of like flexible, or will it depend on your energy levels?
Yeah, that is a good question too. So I will adapt the routine, but not the structure. Right. So I keep 4 days a week, no matter what. I'm lifting on these 4 days. I will change the intensity based on how my body is feeling. So if it's fatigued, I'll lift at a lower percentage. I'll keep the pace a lot lighter. You don't just hammer down. It's more destructive than it is anything. Yeah, of course. But that's the importance of a program, because like you should be, if you have a program and let's say it's like 1 month to, it can be up to 3 months or longer. That's what you're supposed to do, is play with these intensities where it's not just lifting at your heaviest every time or going at your hardest every day. It should be these gradual ramp ups and scaling up and then scaling back, because you got to recover. And then that's how you get that new level to start from. Right. Yeah. So I'll start here, I'll scale, and then I got to recover. So I'll scale back. And then the next time I get in for that next month, my starting place should be higher. And so that's how those results like start to compound. But it's got to be that's where you keep the structure, you dial down and up intensity. Like, don't think of it as on and off. Think of it as a dial. Like I'm up to 100, I'm down to like 60, right? You're just like playing with these dials.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's also this idea as well. I mean, although you're aware of what you're doing within a program structure, but you are listening to your body at the same time. And and you've also mentioned about the fact that you have to respect recovery. That's a massive factor, the recovery, isn't it? I mean, is that something you really will intentionally program in to your week, a recovery periods, or between lifts, I suppose? I don't know what your view on recovery is.
It's essential. I mean, I'll tell you that it's essential. I mean, you can't have progress without it. And I've tried, Alan. You can't do it, man. I really was like guilty of, I think in my 20s, of just like going throttle down, dude, just going as hard as I freaking could. And every day, and you can get away with some stuff when you're young, but
Good.
But no, it's essential. It's part of the thing.
Okay.
So recovery, like during the week, as I mentioned, I lift heavy like 4 days a week, where I have like 2 upper and 2 lower body days. That's my split that I like to follow. It really works for me. And then I'll have
for all those people that are massively into strength training. What are you lifting? Because that was something which I'd be interested to know. I mean, not that I would know what it meant, but other people listening would be know.
Yeah, man.
What are you lifting?
So I do, so 2 upper, 2 lower. So I do, Monday is my upper day where I primarily do a push pull vertical. So it's going to be like, or I'm sorry, horizontal. So it'd be bench press, seated rows, single arm rows, triceps. So I'm mixing kind of like compound movements and then with accessory movements where I'm like isolating. So I kind of do a blend of like strength and hypertrophy right now.
Okay.
Then I'll go into leg day. I'll do squat will be my primary. So it'll be like more of a squat focus day with like hinge accessories. So it'll be like your RDLs. And then resting on Wednesday where I'll do, if I do any activity, it will be like a zone 2 cardio, or depending on my focus, I might have sprints that day, but it's no real lifting. It would be like a quick output. Sled pushes, sprints, or like zone 2 cardio for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, gotcha.
But mostly rests. Thursday back to upper, but it's vertical now, so it's going to be pushing and pulling with shoulder presses, standing overhead presses, military presses, maybe incline bench and like lat pull downs, pull ups, biceps, and then finishing with hinge dominant day on like Friday. So it'd be like deadlifts, and then accessory with like squat and quad work. And then we'll do a long run on Sundays, man. Me and my wife usually go out for about a 5 or 6 mile run on Sundays.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah.
That's the routine.
Fantastic. That sounds great. I mean, if you in terms of pounds, what would you be lifting over your head? That was really well. I mean, thanks for the rundown. I'm sure there will be people that will understand all of that, but some of that was a little bit. I wouldn't know what some of the exercises were because my ignorance is. But so would you be listening? I don't know, 200 pounds. Who knows? What are you doing over your head? That's what I was.
Oh, dude, it totally depends, man. I mean, like standing overhead press, it might be like 135, like repping out, or to like 150, and then. I don't know, bench press, I'm usually like plating up at least 225 to hit 10 to 15, and I'll kind of scale up from there. Deadlifts, I like to kind of stay in a like 315 rep range or weight range. Not doing a lot of PR work these days.
Yeah.
I used to lift honestly a little bit heavier, but this is one of those things where you get into, as I'm getting older, I am lifting heavy, but I'm not looking for PR weight anymore. I'm training very differently. Like I'm kind of training within that like 6 to 12 to 15 kind of rep range versus, 3, 4, 5.
I've got a couple of friends who will be listening to this later, and they are massively into the gym work and weightlifting, and Leon and Katie. So they will obviously appreciate what you're saying on all counts on that. So thanks for that.
Yeah, man, I love it. Happy to.
Good. Listen, I'm going to sort of, we're going to wrap up now, really. But it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. Obviously, we need as much information as possible to get in contact with you. So I know that, obviously you have the Athlete's Pursuit, and people can follow you on Instagram at Joe Rodonis. Very simple. Yep. Obviously, I'll leave the links in there. But is there anything else that you'd like to add, in terms of getting in contact with you, or any other information that you'd like to let us know about at the moment before we sort of sign off?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, Instagram is always like the best place to reach me. I always try to respond to like DMs and any type of training questions.
Okay, cool.
And then obviously on Tonal as well, where I'm launching some new programs on there as well. So if you have access to a Tonal, you can always train with me there. That's honestly the best place where if people want to work with me and kind of progress their training, that's where we do it. And that's like a really hands-on approach. Cause like, for example, I'm doing a 3-month strength program right now where I'm filming, that, and I'm with you every single rep. And that I think is the most powerful teaching tool, because I'm in the work with you. That's amazing. So I know how it's feeling, what you got to pay attention to.
I heard you talk about this on the podcast. I was really interested about this, the whole idea, this direct access that you have, so that you're there. Is this a live? It's obviously recorded sessions, aren't they? Surely it can't be.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's recorded basically live. I mean, it's, we have live classes that we're literally broadcasting in real time too, that are like these individual morning workouts. But these programs like this I'm working out with you in real time. I think it's the most incredible teaching tool that I've ever come across just for that reason, man. Because you think I've always done personal training. So, if I'm working with you, the truth is I'd probably see you maybe once or 3 times a week, which is pretty high. And then I might see you for an hour during that time, but it also gets very expensive.
Yeah.
And then think about that. I might see you for 1 week, but am I seeing you for 6 months, for a year at that pace? And with this, I'm literally with you 4 days a week for this program for 3 months, if not longer. And I'm not just working with you on a single session. Like we're progressing these movements. So like all these questions you have about like, well, how do I get better at my deadlift? What form things should I be looking out for? If I have a weakness in this area, how do I strengthen it? We walk through it step by step. So like you're seeing how you progress in real time.
That's brilliant. That sounds amazing. It sounds really complete as a way of people, obviously improving themselves in that way. So that's great. If you could drop us all of this information, just chuck it to me in an email, and so that I can just put it into the show notes. That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, happy to. Of course.
Yeah, great. All right. Anyway, that's brilliant. Big thanks to you, Joe, and for joining me. And I've really, it's been an inspiring perspective on training both the body and the mind for sure. And so I'd just like to sort of sign off now, but just as a little parting thing, remember everybody out there, wellness isn't just about doing more, it's about building habits and mindsets that help you thrive. Keep tuning in, please, for fast, effective tips and for more inspirational information from people like Joe Rodonis. Absolute pleasure to have you on the show today, Joe. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Goodbye. Cheers.
Cheers.